market, buying and selling advice, the latest best stewardship practices, as well as topics currently impacting landowners. I'm Haley Murr, and I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships and Development here at Murr Ranch Group. For those of you who are first tuning in, Murr Ranch Group is a full-service ranch real estate brokerage and consulting company focusing on legacy ranches and sporting and conservation properties around the West. We recently listed a new property near Fort Collins called the MAAD Peak. This is a 40-acre ranch with a home that was designed to highlight its surroundings, from the materials used to the systems that have been integrated to the seed-catching walls along the hiking trails. And today we're actually going to discuss the inspiration, the design, and how it was all implemented by the architect himself. Thank you to everyone who has submitted questions. We'll try to get them on this broadcast, but please feel free to ask your questions and we will get back to them as soon as we can. Without further ado, though, I'd like to introduce the architect behind the house of MAAD Peak. He is the owner as well as the architect, so he knows it better than anyone out there. And without further ado, here is Marc Gerritsen. Marc, welcome to Land Bulletin.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. It's so good to see you. I haven't been up to the property in a while, but I am sure it's looking great with some of the snow coming in and the holidays.
It's looking absolutely fantastic now with the snow.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I can't wait to get some people up there to experience it themselves. It's really remarkable. Yeah. And thank you so much. I know sometimes you're in Europe, you're busy, you have a lot of things on your schedule. So I appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Absolutely, no worries. I'd love to talk to you about it all.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll just start off first with just your kind of background, Marc. Where did you study? Where did you start to become an architect? Some of the other projects you've worked on before MAAD Peak.
Well, basically, I was born in Holland, and as soon as I was about 13, 14, my parents left Holland. We started living in all sorts of different countries. Then I came back to Holland to study. And after that, after studying, I actually didn't want to be cooped up in an office, and I started traveling even more, and I started doing a lot of building on my travel. So that's where I actually picked up building skills. So, but then also I started designing more. I started designing furniture. I really love designing furniture. All the furniture here in the house was also designed by me and also made here on the property.
Wow. Yeah. And I can attest, some of the furniture, I mean, it's things you would see in high-end magazines and all these places, and it comes with the property. It's really special. And it's incredible that, you can make furniture, but you also custom build homes like this. And I guess we'll just kind of start from the very beginning. What was the inspiration for MAAD Peak? Where did you kind of land on Fort Collins and this property in general? And then, what inspired just the design itself?
Well, we both my wife and I, we were living in Asia, and we wanted to live in an area that was less populated, quieter, have more space and stuff. And so we actually wanted to come to Colorado, and within a day or two, we decided, Fort Collins is really an incredible, nice town. So we started looking around here, and within 2 weeks we found this property. And as any architect designer, the land really dictates the location and the building. So we when we came from the east side of our peak, because basically we have a standalone peak. So we walked from the east side to the southwest side of the property. We looked and said, where can we sign? Because the view is just absolutely stunning. You see, all the way to Horsetooth. You can see peaks of the national park. On top of that, there's just no neighbors. It's super quiet. You don't hear the highway. So the site was an immediate yes. Like within looking upon it, it was an okay. And then, of course, it is the next, where are we going to put the house? And of course, because it's a peak, there's not a lot of flat area. So we had to create our flat area. And coming from Asia, we built other houses there, and those houses are more, they're more open to nature. They're more spread out. But here in Colorado, you need to have a much smaller footprint and be more contained, because otherwise you lose too much heat in the house.
Yep.
So we could somehow carve out a fairly large area where we could build the house facing south, but we also have beautiful westerly views. We get easterly views as well. So yesterday we had a guest here, and they said, "Is your house is it a solar house?" And I went like, "Well, actually, yes, because basically when the sun comes up, our house gets heated up. We hardly spend any money on gas to heat the house, because from sun up to sundown, the house gets heated."
Mm-hmm.
So that was, of course, the inspiration. The actual inspiration of having a mansard slanted roof on the west side was that sometimes there is a strong wind here from the west. If there is a strong wind, it comes from the west. So we
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to have that sort of house that, okay, we're braced for those winds. And when we talk to our neighbors after a big wind, look, our house was shaking in the wind. We go like, well, we didn't feel anything because of that brace that we did. But it was also an inspiration from way back, going to the Alps with my parents, and seeing those particular roofs in the Alps. So I wanted to have something alpine,
Mm-hmm.
and that was one of the major inspirations of designing the large mansard roof with those panoramic windows.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed, Mark, when I came up to the house is I did feel like I was in the Alps or, some type of European alpine influence. So it's interesting to know that there is kind of a reason behind the design when it does come to those alpine homes with the slants, like you were saying, to the western wind, the sun exposure to the south, and then even the materials you used. I feel like everything that you did was for a purpose. Can you tell me a little bit about the materials that were used on the exterior of the home and why some of that was implemented?
Well, we used steel on the outside, and that had various reasons. First of all, we actually loved the look of rusted steel that actually for the first time I saw being used here in Colorado. And when I asked about, because we lived in Asia, I'm from Europe, all places with high humidity, high salt content. So for me, it was just very counterproductive to use steel on the outside. But then when people told me, no, steel on the outside here, it's totally fine, because steel will last in the air, in the dry air here for 75 to 100 years. I really wanted to use the steel on the outside, because as my wife said, it's kind of like a conversation with nature, because the steel gradually will change. But the thing is, there is just no maintenance to it. Some of my neighbors, they're now painting their house after it's 10 years old. Now we will never have to paint it. It will last for probably 100 years. So but then on top of that, there is always a danger of fire in Colorado. So putting the steel on the outside is an amazing fire protection. Our insurance went down because of
Mhm.
that. So because of these reasons, we went for steel.
That's amazing, and it's those things that people don't understand when they're even looking at ranches. You see these log homes, and they're amazing and they're beautiful, but they're not necessarily the smartest thing to use in an alpine home. So it's good to know kind of, I don't want to call it a science, but it really is a science of creating this alpine home that is safe, that, with even the property insurance, that's something people don't even think about. So
Yeah,
the fact that you've already figured that out for the next buyers of this home is huge.
it is. It is very
Yeah.
much so. Yeah.
And I love to another thing that I love about your house, beyond the materials and the design, kind of the inspiration, with your wife being in the hospitality industry. I mean, you walk into that home and you feel it's it's minimalist, but it's also cozy. Like, you've created this atmosphere that is very inviting, and it also appeals to a lot of different types of buyers out there, which
Yeah.
I think
Well,
is
we from way back, I've always been into quote unquote modern design, but I felt that modern design as such was always cold, and
Mhm,
a lot of steel, like stainless steel and marble and white spaces. And I actually like a very warm and cozy modern feel.
mhm,
So that's why we decided for the birch plywood in our living room and in our bedroom and in the hallways to give that alpine feel of warmth.
mhm.
Uh, so and then the flooring upstairs is cork, so it's also a warm material. So we really wanted to uh, envelop our uh, um, with sort of warm and materials that create coziness, especially
Mhm.
for those winter days. Fire on, and yeah, it's.
And
But
it's
I
nice
hope.
because, I mean, on top of all that, you have the radiant heating, you have the fireplaces, you have these, just so people are aware, you're currently sitting in your bedroom
Yes,
upstairs with beautiful views, I must say, of the National Forest to the west, like you said, Fort Collins to the south, Horsetooth Reservoir, and it's all, I mean, you almost have 360-degree views in that room alone,
yes,
let
yes,
alone the
correct.
rest of the house.
No, every room has a particular view. Like our guest room has a view of Bonner Peak itself. All
Mhm,
of our southern windows, they have views that could go nearly up to Boulder. I
mhm.
think at one point on a super clear night, I think somebody pointed out Denver Airport in way over there. I don't
That's
know if
amazing.
that's really true, but we definitely can, when we pass Longmont on the highway on the I-25, we can tell our friends, look, that little peak, that's our peak. So
Mhm.
that's it's quite interesting to have your own peak,
Yeah.
but to just be surrounded by these amazing views. We've never had that, and it's just we're just so blessed with these views
Mhm.
here. Yeah.
And to your point too, the views and the spaces, they allow also this ability to have a lot of people up there. I mean, it's an entertainment house for sure. Like the downstairs, how the kitchen flows in to the living area, but then the living area also flows into the outdoors. So it's this really neat. We've sold a lot of beautiful custom homes up in the mountains before, but it's never felt, that flow has never been there. So it's that on top, the design elements to bring in the nature. It also was created to really entertain people and to be this space where people can enjoy the inside and the architecture itself.
Yeah, well, we decided with the we didn't go for the traditional walkout basement,
Mhm,
because then you are say you walk out of your living room and you're always on a deck
mhm,
above the basement. So we really wanted our ground floor to be the living room. So when you open all the doors, because all the doors in the living room, they can totally open up. And in summer, that's fantastic when we have a party. People can immediately just walk out on the grounds, on the grass that we created, the patio that we created. So it's a very comfortable area to hold parties. And the kitchen address domain, my wife, she has a kitchen with 55 drawers and an enormous amount of space to create the most beautiful and scrumptious meals that she does on so many occasions. And then on
No.
top of that, we have a sauna that we can go to. And just yesterday, we had a bunch of friends over, and so a beautiful meal. Well, actually, first a sauna, a beautiful meal. It was just a perfect evening. And these people say, "Oh my God, I wish I could live here."
And
So
I do too. The minute I walked into your home, I was like, "Okay, this is something I could do. I could get used to this."
yeah.
And beyond just even that, can you tell us a little bit about kind of the water systems and the drainage and some of, like, the catch basins that you have and what went into that even, the systems around the house?
Well, we have a well, a fairly deep well, and we never run out of water, even remotely. So it's a really good well. We get about a gallon a minute. Then we have a 1,200 gallon cistern. So all that water from the well goes into the 1,200 gallon cistern that's underground. So some people have built cisterns inside their house, but then you're always in the winter, you don't have really cold water. It's actually nice to have really cold water coming into the house.
Mhm.
Actually, I take cold showers in the morning, so I can attest to that. It's nice to have cold water coming into the house. But there's 1,200 gallons in there, and so there's a large a leach field
Mhm.
that is on the south side of the house that is totally overgrown now. Also, near that space, there's still quite a lot of flat ground to put, say, an extra cabin or like
Mhm.
a rider's cabin. Adria always wanted to have a rider's cabin there, but because it's so close to all the connections, the water, the electricity, fairly easy to put another cabin in there.
Mhm.
Then the water management in terms of just around the house, we that was an incredible trial and error because the first year we had a party and on the 4th of July and. As it is, we just basically got so much rain and then immediately you can see, ooh, we need to do something here, we need to do something there. So for the last 4 or 5 years, I have worked incredibly hard on making the road system just absolutely perfect with the culverts, with the drains, just
Mhm.
around our house. Everything, all whenever we get a lot of water, everything drains perfectly well now. But that was yeah, you cannot just do that in one go. You need to do that with trial and error. And now,
Right.
in the last year and a half, I haven't done anything on the road or anything on the culverts. On top of that, on the we have an auxiliary building that's a studio that can be used for possibly living in, or it can be a
Mhm.
workshop, or it can be a yoga studio or any. It's a multifunctional studio there, and we catch the water there. We have it in a tote, then we pump it up to another tote, and then we have water running at that studio.
And that's incredible. I mean, to have an auxiliary dwelling kind of building like that up there that's already created, and what's really neat is you've made it so that anyone can decide what they put in there. It's kind of a blank canvas for whomever moves in next, and what I loved is the connecting trail network between the main home and that other building. You've created this really neat network of trails up there with Adria. I even loved the little area with benches that you can have a barbecue on the top of the peak. So beyond just creating these two livable spaces, you've created these network of trails and outdoor livable spaces at MAAD
Yeah,
Peak.
there's we have nearly 2 miles of trails on our property. So if you would want to walk all the trails around the peak to the peak, from the studio to the house, you'd probably be walking around for 2 hours.
Mhm.
So that was quite a bit of work, but I really enjoyed making trails because if you do intricate work like carpentry and stuff, it's all about an eighth of an inch here or a sixtieth of an inch here. But when you're making trails, it's just you have a pickaxe and you got a shovel and you got muscles. And in Colorado, that has been absolutely wonderful. But the location of the studio is also really in a nice spot because Adria, she's often been in the house here, and I've been in the studio working on all sorts of big machines, creating the furniture, creating building components. But she couldn't see me, she couldn't hear me. So
Yeah.
it's super private on top of that as well. So it's we're just far enough that it's nicely removed from the house, so there's no sound whatsoever coming from
Mhm.
there.
And what's neat is, you have those 2 miles of trails, but then in addition to that, you are adjacent to national forest. So if once you've really explored those 2 miles and you've experienced your 40 acres, you have tens of thousands of acres at your back
Yes,
door.
yes, we could virtually walk from our back door into the national forest all the way. We haven't done it, but you could.
That seems like
And
a
of
trek.
course, it's fantastic for anybody that loves nature, hiking, hunting. I could just hunt here on my property. I could just sit here on a chair and shoot a couple of deer if I were inclined to do so.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could just walk out towards the west, and there are just thousands and thousands of acres of national forest. We also have a river very close by here that we often go to, and Adra is more game to that than I am, but she will just uh, jump into the river with half an inch of ice
Wow.
and do cold plunges there.
Yeah, so you have your own cold plunge, but then you have the
Yeah.
river cold plunge as well if you feel
Yes, yeah.
inclined.
So there's and it's in the summer there's we often go there for swimming
Mhm.
because I don't swim with ice, but yeah,
I don't
she
either.
will. But there's fantastic fishing there as well. And
Mhm.
in the 5 years that we lived here, we met maybe one or two people there that have access through the North Fork of the Poeder. They can have access, but we never see anybody there. It's just having that amazing backyard to your disposal is it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I love that, and I just I really want everything we've talked about today. Um, I'm going to introduce the tour now.
Okay,
So what Mark has done for everyone viewing is he's created a private tour of for everyone that has tuned in today, so you can see every element of the house from his eyes and from his direction. So we will watch that tour, and I hope you all enjoy. And if you have questions or you want to schedule a tour in person, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly at haley@merranchgroup.com, or you can reach tommy@merranchgroup.com and we can schedule a tour. I know Mark would be happy to answer any questions for qualified buyers. So without further ado, here's the tour. Thanks, Mark.
hope to see you soon. Bye bye. This is our house. This is the official entrance. We have a large pivoting door. Living room. And going to see the view. You can see Grey Rock, the Mummies, Longs Peak, Horsetooth, Fort Collins, Greeley,
Wellington. So I'll show you the sauna first. It's a small trail staircase to the sauna. Sauna is made out of, the siding is made out of stainless steel that rusts. The roof, the siding, it's really long lasting. The sauna was all custom built and manufactured and fabricated. Lights, ventilation, supports, benches, furniture, and also the wood stove, all custom made. Then there's a deck here with our cold plunge. It's 4 by 4 by 4 meters with a cover and a beautiful view. The stove has got an intake of wood on the outside and an intake of air, so there won't be any smoke on the inside. There's lights on top here, and this is the path that goes back to the house. So yeah, the house also is cladded in steel that rusts, and it has a lifespan of about 75 to 100 years. So I think that would outlast anybody. There's a entertainment deck here, a grass pitch, bench to take in the view, and that is our own peak. The south side of the house is totally landscaped with terraced with wood from our property. There's a veggie garden here. There's a water tank of 1,200 gallons, a propane tank of 1,200 gallons. The septic and the leach field is down there. So this is the veggie garden, the large entertainment patio with a counter and with a sink. And these doors are doubly hinged and they totally open up. As you can see, hinges here, and that totally opens up, and that's great for entertainment. Now we're going back into the house, into the living room. So the living room is lined with birch plywood, only needs to be oiled maybe once every 10 years. There's a built-in sofa here, a gas fireplace, concrete flooring, and all the flooring comes with it. So there are these blinds that can be closed just in case there is sun. They close totally. Sometimes the sun is a bit too much, and then we can close them. So the ground floor is heated with radiant heat, and then of course we've got the gas stove for additional. This is the kitchen. Has got 54 drawers, an island of 4 by 16 feet. It's got a large sink, dishwasher, and on the other side a stove with 2 ovens, a steam oven and microwave, and another sink and a dishwasher. Everything is well lit, and here we have a double fridge. So this leads back to the corridor. Where there is a powder room, and here is a office that could also become a bedroom. It's got storage, and it has a bathroom with a shower and toilet and built-in cupboards with drawers. So we're going upstairs now. First we're going to have a look at the guest room. Guest room has 2 French doors that open up towards MAAD Peak with a large deck with easterly and southerly views. And has a ensuite bathroom, shower and toilet. The floors are made of an eco-friendly cork from Portugal. There's 2 closets with 3 drawers, and again here all the furniture comes with the house. So we're going back into the corridor that leads into the master bedroom, quite large, 40 by 22 feet. Again, cork flooring, and also here birch plywood. We have a wood stove here, but it's also radiant heat. And again, here we have the blinds that totally close up just in case there's too much sun, and that really helps when working here. These doors, these French doors, totally open up. They again are doubly hinged, as you can see. And this balcony gives you again to the amazing panoramic views of the Rocky Mountain National Park, Long's Peak, Horsetooth, bed with 2 closets, one for the linen and another clothes closet. Bath with view of Horsetooth. Extra large closet, toilet, double shower, double sink and double mirror. Lots of walnut counters and sills. And now we're going again downstairs. Nordic skis. And again, lots of plywood, which only needs to be oiled every 10 years. So this is the laundry. There's a washer and a dryer, and plenty of space for products and iron. And then in the garage there is a laundry sink with cleaning cupboards underneath, and for large stuff over there, bicycling storage. This area is for pot planting, maintenance, garden. That is an extra pantry with counter and freezer, and this serves as our mud room. And here is the mechanical room. So there's on-demand hot water with four zones, 1 the ground floor, and then 3 upstairs for master bedroom, master bathroom and guest room. So it's very practical garage. And then these doors open up towards the east, again with a beautiful view of Bonner Peak. So this is the road towards the studio. It's perfectly cambered. It's got all the right gutters, all the right culverts. It requires hardly any maintenance. It's a very, very stable road, built 5 years ago, and we never really had to do anything to it other than putting the culverts in and the gutters. Once they were put in, we have maybe a couple of hours a year of maintenance on the road. There's plenty of artwork along the road. There's the start of a trail that goes towards the top here. Here's the power supply of the studio. The studio is kind of like a mini-me of the house with a slanted mansard roof. This is the main entrance. It's got a landscaped front garden, a dock, and this is the studio, a multifunctional room. Right now it's being used as the gym, for yoga, for photography, for leather work. It's got a storage of 250 feet on top of the loft. It's got a mechanical room that could be transformed into a bathroom. It's got radiant heat piping in the floor, and a small office that's currently being used as a small workshop with a panoramic window overlooking nature. And it's got plenty of lights from the east looking at Bonner Peak. It's got 2 doors opening up towards the back with a fireplace. There's 450 gallons of water there that comes from the gutter, goes into the toad in the back there, and then gets pumped up to another toad up there, and then there is streaming water here, gravity fed water. There's wood storage here. There's a big fan to just take out any hot air in the summer, and then this goes around the office window and to the front.